Good man. No, it didn't go down well. No, didn't go down well.
Yeah. Overtime doesn't tend to do that.
Yeah, it just didn't go down well. What has gone down well, and that is the pause in the season for Morgan Rielly.
Yes. The fact that his Olympic break started a couple days early due to an injury. He's been off for almost 3 weeks now, and that upper body injury hastened his break. This is actually the second day that the Leafs have been out on the ice practicing. Only Jake McCabe had been seeing more ice time than Rielly's 21-34 average this season. And the Leafs are currently 6 points out of a playoff spot with 25 games remaining. And Rielly's currently sitting at a -17. I think that's the worst that he's ever been when it comes to plus minus. Now, a lot of people will say that's a made-up stat, and that's fine. It's not really an accurate measure of how he's actually playing. It's just an indication of what tends to happen when he's on the ice. But Berube was saying that he looks like he's in a lot better place than he was mentally, if not physically, for sure. There were a lot of defensive miscues that popped up, a lack of production. It took him half the season to notch his first power play goal. That's something significant. The Leafs' 5-game home losing streak in January certainly didn't help. And armchair general managers were speculating on him considering a change of scenery. Never mind some team willing to take a flyer on his $7.5 million contract, which runs all the way up until 2030. We're looking at a significant chunk of change here for him. But yeah, it seems that he hurt himself in the Vancouver game, but he's had a chance to sort of recover and get his head right and get everything sorted where he needs to. So, he says it's a good chance for everyone to get away, have a reset, and understand the challenges that are ahead of the Maple Leafs, especially with only 25 games left in the season.
Unlike his salary, talk is cheap.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. Let's see what he does. These are professional hockey players who request, a salary, and they argue over their value, and the way they interpret their value is how much they earn. As it turns out, Morgan Rielly overvalued himself, and the Leafs agreed with him. That's just a fact. That's all there is to it. And unfortunately, with salaries, you don't get a crystal ball before you sign a salary, whether you're a manager or whatever. You've got to rely on your intelligence and your ability to make good decisions. This speaks to the decisions the Maple Leaf management has made, and they've made a lot of bad decisions. This goes way back. They've just been incapable of putting together. Look at Matthews right now. Matthews now is going to play against Nylander. He's going to try and eliminate Nylander. They're playing a game, a do or die game. America hoping to move on. Canada's going to play Finland. What do you think of that?
There we go. It's an important step for teammates to play against each other like this, and I think it's a good thing. But at the end of the day, Matthews and his Team USA buddies managed to eliminate William Nylander and OEL to advance to the 2026 Olympics semifinals. It was a bit of a disappointing exit for Sweden. Unfortunately, Victor Hedman was injured during the warm-ups. Due to the timing of the injury, Sweden was unable to replace him with a healthy Rasmus Andersson. Unlike in NHL games, Olympic lineups are announced about an hour before the game starts, before warm-ups. Consequently, they actually had to play the elimination match with one of their top defenders. Now, something that's not going to work in Willie's favor is the fact that neither he nor OEL got on the score sheet for the final game. Despite leaving when they did, getting booted when they did, Nylander finished a tournament with 2 goals and 2 assists in 5 games. But as he said, it's hard to describe the experience. It's tough when the Olympics only happens every so often. It is a good learning experience, that's for sure. Ekman Larson wasn't feeling quite so generous. He was saying that he was feeling pretty empty after having taken that loss. Sweden is the only team from the Four Nations face-off not remaining in the semifinal round. It concludes, Canada's going to be taking on Finland this Friday, while the U.S. moves on to face Slovakia. And then the finals will be at 10 in the morning, I believe, on Sunday, or 8 in the morning on Sunday. It's a really wonky time. It doesn't work out well for anybody. But
European.
Well, it is what it is.
That's where they are. That's what you do.
Yep.
Where they are. I got to tell you. I really do have to tell you. I love that whole story. I had to yank out my instrument on behalf of Nylander. The smallest violin in the world. Plays for you, William. Come on. It didn't work out for Sweden. And Nylander didn't play the kind of game that he has played for Sweden in international events. This was a downer for him for whatever reason. And that's what it was. He didn't play to his ability or capability or what he could do. And so what? It's, he's a professional. His paycheck's going to still come. There's no effect. There's no effect on his value just because he had a bad Olympics. It really doesn't matter in my mind. I think there are some people that say I think it's a Toronto thing. Marner comes through for Canada. Fans feel conflicted. What are you conflicted about? He scored a goal that won the game for Canada. Good for us, good for him, and good for Canada in the Olympics. This is, look, the way he left Toronto was not pleasant. And it was less about his game, more about people's emotions, including mine. He gets a chance to play with the very best in the world for his favorite country that has his favorite city in it. I hope he doesn't hate Toronto now. He used to love Toronto. I hope he still loves Toronto. And I'm proud of a local kid doing well. I don't know what you think, Aaron, but
I'm perfectly okay with how he played. I'm a little disappointed at how certain fans, not all Toronto fans, but a certain subsection of Toronto fans, treated him on his way out, and the way that his family was treated by a certain subsection of the fans. But it's curious to me that he plays so well with a red maple leaf on his chest, but not quite as well in important games with a blue maple leaf on his chest. And I think that is what the article's really referring to when it comes to that sort of thing. He comes up clutch. He comes up huge for Canada in overtime with the backhand goal. But for some odd reason, can't seem to do it in Toronto when playing for the Leafs during the playoffs. Now, again, I'm not overly upset. I will cheer for this dude no matter where he ends up playing, because I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's a decent guy. I've never actually met him, so of course that is a little bit of casting aspersions on my part. But I'm glad that he's doing well and he's succeeding for Canada. And I wish him all the success in the world, except when his team plays the Leafs. So
9 things can be true at the same time.
Yep.
I can dislike the way he talked contract in Toronto. I can dislike the way that he felt winning in Toronto was a sub interest below how much he got paid, and how it felt people liked him or the team liked him or respected him. And the way he left Toronto, as much as I agree with you with the subsection of Toronto Maple Leaf fans who didn't give him a very nice departure, he was partly to blame. There's multiple victims in this, right? It's not just the player who gets victimized by the fans. The fans, I think, I'm sorry, but I think the fans had a lot of reason to be disappointed in Marner in many ways. And now he gets a fresh start and he goes to a new team and he goes and represents Canada and he gets an opportunity to say, F everything else. I'm just going to play the best I can right here. And he gets a chance to be a star again. And he gets to be an important player for Canadians. Now, for those of you that don't like him because what he did in Toronto, I'm not happy with what he did. I mean, it's a matter of record how I feel about the way he was in Toronto. But that's how he was in Toronto, and that was yesterday, or at least before yesterday. But yesterday, he played some of his best hockey and most important hockey and showing his ability to be a game breaker while it was clearly absent as a Maple Leaf. This is the second time he's had the red Maple Leaf on where he's been an important factor in Canada winning an important event. Remember, he scored the overtime goal in that fourth inning, and he had the assist on the winning goal that won the event for Canada. And now he scores an overtime goal, which basically had to be scored or they were out. So either one of them scored or they were gone. So you have to look. I don't understand why people can't do more than one thing at once. You can dislike the way a guy is, dislike the way a guy plays, but when he plays well, give him credit. Balls and strikes, baby. Balls and freaking strikes. Call them fair, man.
It just seems it's difficult for some Canadian fans to do that sort of thing. It's difficult for them to see around their own sort of prejudices and around the judgments and the easy narratives that we've been fed.
Oh, Aaron, I live in a quaint little town known as Wasaga Beach, where the trolls can dominate. And it's the same in every other community, right? You just have a group of people who are just, how can I describe them? There's a 7-letter word. Can I say it? Asshole. Asshats. People who are just who just think that they're smart because they can put people down. I can be honest about somebody and sound like I'm putting them down, but I would hope that it never sounds personal. I hope it never sounds personal when we talk about a hockey player, which is my point about Marner. The Leafs are going to give a 23-year-old an opportunity to at least practice with him, Aaron.
And this is, one of those players where it's been talked about bringing him up for a while. He's 23, so he's still young. He's still maturing. Last year, he played 55 games and had 36 assists along with 4 goals. This season, he's at 18 points through 40 games. And that's because the entire Marlies team has unfortunately taken a step back. But as it currently stands, William Villeneuve has been called up to play with the Marlies, to play with the Leafs, or at least practice with them, while OEL is overseas at the Olympics. Villeneuve is actually currently the number 2 defensive prospect in the Maple Leaf system right now. This has some medium-term implications for Villeneuve's career. Because the Leafs have been struggling this season, they can end up selling before the NHL trade deadline. And if they trade a defenseman or two, that could potentially open up a spot. Villeneuve has the opportunity now to impress coaches at practice to set up a late-season NHL debut. There have been rumblings of Chris Tanev potentially coming back to the lineup sometime this season, but that still appears to be a ways away, at least for the time being. So getting him up there to get reps in with the big team is not necessarily a bad thing.
Absolutely. Now, what about Dakota Joshua?
Well, there was a lot of talk earlier in the season um, about his actual injury. It was an unspecified upper body injury. As it turns out, he's finally skating with his teammates again, and the Maple Leafs have decided to release the reason for his injury, and it was a lacerated kidney that he suffered in a game against the Detroit Red Wings back on December 29th. The Leafs were practicing without Matthews, Nylander, OEL. Calle Yarncroke moved up to act as a placeholder in Nylander's spot. Joshua slid into the spot Calle Yarncroke normally occupies alongside Steven Lorentz and Scott Lawton. He said he felt good, but there was a lot of rest and recovery that he had to do. He really couldn't do much for a while, just waiting for it to heal back up to the point where he could start to work out again and finally start to skate again. So the rust is there. The good news is the Leafs aren't going to be starting their season back up again until February 25th. So that's another week away. It's not until next Wednesday. So he still has an opportunity to get some work in. Berube said he's feeling good and he's ready to go, but we'll see how it goes this week. He had 6 goals and 4 assists in 36 games this season. If the roster is fully healthy up front, the Leafs may actually decide to not put him back in quite yet. They also have other options with Easton Cowan, even though he's been a healthy scratch for the past few games. But it is what it is at this point. Dakota Joshua seems to be recovering nicely.
Lacerated kidney.
Yeah, man, that's a hell of a thing.
A lacerated kidney refers to the tear in a kidney tissue, which can result in bleeding or the leakage of urine into the surrounding abdominal space. Kidneys are organs located on each side of the spine in the flank area, just beneath the rib cage, playing a role in filtering waste from the blood. The type of injury is caused by external forces impacting the body. I guess you can insert hockey player after that, because there's a lot of
hockey stick,
a lot of external forces,
yeah,
involved in the game of hockey, and usually the players that can handle that external force best end up having their names carved on the Stanley Cup. Let's talk about Team Canada in Milan.
So, day 11, speed skating, looking at Evgeny Blondin, Valerie Malte, and Isabelle Weideman, who won their second straight Olympic gold medal in the women's team pursuit. They defeated the Netherlands by 0.96 of a second in their head-to-head showdown for the gold medal. Team Jacobs locked up a playoff spot with a 9-5 win over Great Britain, a game that ended in handshakes after the ninth end. That puts their record at 6-1 with 2 round-robin games left to play. Switzerland, 7-0, also secured their playoff spot. Team Holman won 8-6 over Sweden, who had been the last undefeated team in the women's tournament. This was their 3rd straight win, boosting their record to 4-3 and putting them in a tie for 4th place with South Korea. Madely Shizas and the women's short program made the costly error of doubling her planned triple loop, which made it an invalid element and counted for 0 points. She also lost some points with a turn in between the 2 jumps in her combination. Her score of 55.38 left her a quarter of a point shy, being in the top 24 that advanced to the free skate. Dylan Deschamps finished 7th in the final of the men's ski big air. Adam Runnels, Logan Pletz, Jasper Fleming, and Zachary Connolly finished 17th in the men's 4x7.5 relay for biathlon. Taylor Austin and Shaq Murray Lawrence were the top Canadian tandem in the 2-man bob, finishing 18th. Jay Dearborn and Mike Evelyn Higgins were unfortunately not amongst the 20 sleds that raced in the 4th and final heat.
Excellent stuff, Aaron. How about day 12?
Day 12 was another day. As it currently stands, they added a few more medals here. Canada won 2 medals in about 30 minutes as Stephen Dubois claimed gold in the men's 500, followed by Canada's bronze in the women's 3,000-meter relay. Dubois led wire to wire to finish with his 5th career Olympic medal. William Dangeneau also advanced to the 5-man final, but was penalized, and Maxime Laon finished 4th in the B final. Danae Blake, Kim Boutin, Florence Brunel, and Courtney Soreau led for most of the women's relay final before a slight slip sent them back. It's still Canada's 4th Olympic medal in the event since Sochi and gives Soreau her 4th of these games, and Boutin the 6th Olympic medal of her career. For men's hockey, they managed to edge Czechia in a tightly contested quarterfinal matchup. That one ended up going to overtime. Suzuki tipped in a point shot with point shot from Devon Taves to tie the game and send it to overtime. And then that's where Mitchie had his goal, scoring on a beautiful backhand to send Canada through to the semis. Both Canadian teams in curling secured wins over Italy. Team Jacobs defeated Joel Retornaz's team 8-3 in 7 ends. Team Homan needed an extra end to overcome Stefania Constantini's team 8-7 after the Italians scored 3 in the 10th end to tie it. Cross-country skiing, Alison Mackey and Liliane Gagnon, they finished 6th, which is Canada's best ever Olympic result in the women's team sprint in free technique. Antoine Cyr and Xavier McKeever also finished 6th in the men's event, clocking 18:38.69, just 6.4 seconds away from the bronze medal. Marion Teno, just missed advancing to the superfinals of women's aerials. She finished 7th in the first final round with a score of 103.89 from her 2 jumps that left her 2.04 points away from claiming the 6th and final spot in the second round. Mark McMorris finished 8th in the final of men's slopestyle. He put up a best score of 75.5 in his first 3 runs. Cameron Spaulding finished 10th after posting a 75.13. Laurence Saint-Germain led the 4 Canadians in the women's slalom. This last alpine ski event of the games, she finished 12th. Ali Nullmeyer placed 16th. And in the last event for Canadian biathletes, Pascal Paradis, Sheila Rousseau, Benita Pfeiffer, and Nadia Moser ranked 19th.
Absolutely beautiful. Let's talk about men's hockey. Czechia just about did it to Canada, and the coach wasn't happy about the officiating.
No, for one of Czechia's goals, I managed to count 8 skaters, not including the goalie, on the ice at one point. And
6 while they scored a goal.
And 6 while they scored a goal. Yeah. Unfortunately, too many men on the ice is not reviewable. That kind of goal has to stand. The IOC did release a statement about it.
If you can outsmart the referees, good for you. If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Well, and to be fair, the Czechia players were skating off the ice. The players just left the bench 40 feet too early, which is why they ended up in that situation. The IOC did say, "Look, hey, we apologize. We did miss it. It shouldn't have happened."
And then they're congratulating themselves on the goal, and you see 6 guys.
Yeah, and then there's the Czech coach saying, "Wasn't fair. It felt like we were playing shorthanded the entire game." Wait a minute.
We were. Oh, math is such a problem for people these days.
Honestly, if Canada hadn't won that game, this would have been a way bigger thing.
Oh, it would have been a giant ass story. Canada would have been up in arms. It would have been, I don't know if it's not reviewable, so nothing could happen. But it would really create a problem for credibility in the Olympics that they have officials of the kind that are, reputable. But for the Olympics, officiating is not something they're well known for, at least good officiating. Look at the ice skating a few years ago, what they went through, and found out how they were keeping score and how there was a fix in with how they were scoring, skaters. So, it's not like it's unusual, but, to rub up against hockey and pro hockey players and fans watching the best in the world play and wonder if they have the best referees in the world doing it. I mean, there should be a commensurate level of play by the officials as a contribution to the game as the players. I just think it was really funny. Now I watched the women's game. I was, I guess I can be honest and say I was disappointed. I made a joke about it at the beginning. It really is too bad, and it's amazing how the Team Canada women looked so much like the Toronto Maple Leafs. They had plenty of power
How
plays.
dare you?
They did. They had power plays. They had the edge of play. They were winning going into the final period. But I do congratulate them. What they did was great. Congratulations on the girls.
One second, Frank, having an audio issue.
Oh, okay.
Apologies, Frank. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I
The
can't
question-
hear you, so give me a second to get that adjusted. I am
Okay,
currently
well,
having a bit of a
I'll
microphone
continue.
issue.
I'll continue
I
talking while
apologize
you
for
do
that.
that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, buddy. So I was disappointed in the fact that the girls lost. The women, they're not girls, they're women. They're really good hockey players playing against an American team that really has a major advantage. If the interest in women's hockey in the U.S. is anything close to that of Canada, they have 10 times as much chance of winning because they have 10 times as many young women to pick from for their game. And so to have our Canadian women play as well as they did, yes, they came up short. Yes, I'm not happy with the fact that they were winning in the third period and they lost and then in overtime. But I'm very proud of what they've done. We got to remember that. We're a small country that loves a game and have loved it for over 100 years and have contributed heavily to the game in the world.
And it's a game that doesn't always love us back. That's the
Isn't that terrible? Isn't that
Wow.
terrible? That's so terrible. Do you want to complete any thought on the women's loss? Or
Look,
winning
the
of a
opportunities
silver
were
medal?
there, and the fact that we got a shorthanded goal at 5 after getting a penalty in the first period was something. After getting blanked 5-0 in the round robin, especially with Marie-Philippe Poulin out with an injury, certainly the prognosticators on this event were convinced that it was going to be the USA in a walk. The fact that Canada took them to overtime, I think, is a definite indication that there's more to it than that. And this is the 8th time that they've met. So Canada has 5 gold and 3 silver in that time. I think we're doing okay. But the fact of the matter is there is an old guard that is on their way out, and there needs to be investment in the new class coming in. And I'm not 100% sure if Hockey Canada is up to that task, but we'll see in the next 4 years.
So the team plays well, not well enough to win. Questions arise, and you might as well start at the top. Because, anybody who follows this show at all or hears anything I have to say when it comes to this kind of stuff, for me, it always starts at the top. Because if there's a problem with the janitor, the problem's with the people that hired the janitor. Because there's only one, the janitor does what the janitor can. People do what people can. It's the people that pick them to put them in a position, whether it's to put them on the team or to sit them on the bench or to leave them in the minors. Those are all management decisions. And so it's only natural and it's only smart, in my opinion, that I agree with you that management has to be questioned on how they do things and enter into the thought that maybe different management. But on the other hand, this management could be a management team that helped this team make it this close when it might not have been. Predictions were what predictions were. Let's talk about Quinn Hughes and his contribution to the ouster of Sweden, Nylander in Sweden.
I've lost you, Frank. Give me just a second here. Am I back? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I haven't stopped hearing you.
Good.
Sweden,
no, I had
US.
That was a rather interesting one, to be sure. It was a gut check game. This sets the United States up for an extremely tough game coming up against Slovakia. There is no way to get around the fact that it is going to be a tough game for the States. This is a Slovakian team that will surprise you if you're not ready for it.
Well, no more, because they've played
Yeah.
some really good hockey in the Olympics, World Cups, all that stuff. They've done a great job. I don't. I'd be afraid of playing this team.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You hope that Team USA won't take them lightly. Otherwise, this could take a really interesting turn. And if there's any team that could potentially topple the States, it would be the Slovakian team.
Especially when you consider the mentality of the American players, they are, God's gift to hockey, apparently.
Yeah, and that it's the myth of American exceptionalism always seems to come out at times like this.
Exceptionalism. I prefer the oldest term, ugly American. There's an ugly American. Whenever you point at the U.S., you'll find an ugly American. It's just easy now because their number one guy is an ugly American. Let's go to Canada seeking revenge and redemption in their curling.
So Canada fell behind Norway 5-1 after 3 ends this morning. They regained some momentum to make it interesting, but still ended up losing 8-6. That win allowed Magnus Ramsfjell and his team to make the playoffs and set up a rematch with Jacobs this evening. So the other semifinal would see Switzerland's Yannick Schwaller, who finished the round robin at 9-0, play Great Britain's Bruce Mouat. This would also be a meeting of the 2 top men's seeds in the world's ranking. Mouat, the number 1 team in the world, struggled to a 5-4 round robin record, making the playoffs when Switzerland beat Italy's Joel Returnas 9-5 in the final draw. As it turns out, Team Jacobs did manage to get revenge. They actually did manage to defeat Norway in their rematch this evening, and the match for gold is going to be Canada versus England. So they're almost there. They did manage to get revenge and redemption in their semifinal at Milano Cortina, and they will be playing for gold despite all the noise going on around them for cheating, in their game against Sweden. At the end of the day, there were 2 other games to complete the 10-team round robin. Czechia beat Sweden 10-4, and Germany defeated China 6-4. The final standing saw Switzerland finish at 9-0, followed by Canada at 7-2, Great Britain and Norway 5-4, Italy, Germany, and the U.S. at 4-5, Czechia at 3-6, and China and Sweden at 2-7. The bronze medal game is set for Friday, and Canada will be competing in the gold medal match Saturday. Both will be starting at 1:00 Eastern Time.
Absolutely. Let's talk about a brand new boss of the PA, Major League Baseball Players Association, has a new leader.
Yeah, it was a rather shocking resignation of former head honcho Tony Clark. That was first reported by ESPN's Jeff Passan. This is as negotiations for the new CBA start to come to a bit of a head here. But last night, Bruce Meyer, at age 64, was the union's deputy executive director and chief negotiator. He's going to serve as executive director on an interim basis as the union prepares for contentious CBA showdown this coming winter. Matt Nussbaum, who's been the MLBPA's general counsel, was promoted into Meyer's old role. But sources indicate to Yahoo Sports that Meyer's job will be largely unchanged. Bargaining is going to remain his priority, while Nussbaum is set to assume many of the day-to-day responsibilities of running the union, responsibilities that used to belong to Tony Clark. Player sources told Yahoo Sports that Braverman informed the subcommittee that Meyer does not appear to have been involved in any of Clark's potential malfeasance, which is the reason why he was asked to step away, and he did. It was alleged that he had an inappropriate relationship with a union employee who also happened to be his sister-in-law. So Paul Skeens, Tariq Skubal, Peter Fairbanks, Marcus Semyon, Chris Bassett, Jake Cronenworth, Brent Suter, and Cedric Mullins found out about his misdeeds early in the week as part of a broader investigation into potential financial improprieties. And at the end of the day, he decided to step down for those reasons, and he was unanimously approved by the committee responsible for making sure they got somebody there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's move on to our next story, and that is a group of CFL stories. Let's talk about the Argos.
So the Argos have signed Enoch Makonzo and Daimir Miller. Makonzo became a free agent in February after missing all of 2025 with an injury. He was the 4th overall selection in the 22 CFL draft by Edmonton, where he played in 22 games over 2 seasons with 67 defensive tackles, 1 special teams tackle, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. He signed with Hamilton in 24, but missed that season due to injury. He attended Coastal Carolina, where he recorded 150 tackles. He began his collegiate career at New Mexico Military. Miller most recently spent time with the New York Jets in 25. He spent 2024 at Rutgers, where he had 59 passes for 757 yards to go along with 4 touchdowns in 13 games. He played at Monmouth from 21 to 23, where he holds single-season records in receptions with 90, receiving yards with 1,293, receiving yard in games, and 100 and most 100-yard games. He's 5th all-time in Hawks receiving yards and receptions and 7th in touchdowns. Finished his career with 168 receptions, 2,384 receiving yards, and 17 touchdowns. He was also named an FCS All-American in his senior year.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Drew Wolotarski retires. Big bomber.
Yeah. Well known amongst the league. Very popular. He spent 7 of his 8 CFL seasons with the Bombers between 2017 and 2024 and played his final game as a member of the Hamilton Tiger Cats last year. He was part of 2 Grey Cup championship teams in Winnipeg in 2019 and 2021. He also appeared in 96 regular season games, pulling in 227 receptions for 2,954 yards and 18 touchdowns. He evolved into a reliable target for Blue Bombers quarterbacks Matt Nichols, Chris Dreveler, and Zach Collaros, one of the big reasons behind their success during his days in Winnipeg before joining Hamilton last season, but only suiting up for 2 games.
Fullback William Langley.
Right. William Langley has announced his retirement as well. After representing the Stampeders for more than a decade, he says he's finally stepping down. My body is telling me to move on, and my mind is at peace with it, he said. First and foremost, he wants to thank the great city of Calgary and God for making him feel at home. Thanks to the Stampeders organization, everybody from the front office to the video room to Geo and the equipment staff. He was selected by Calgary in 2015 in the 3rd round. He was an excellent fullback and a special teamer over 144 regular season and postseason games as a member of the Red and White. He had 60 special teams tackles and scored a touchdown after a blocked punt. He played 12 postseason games for Calgary and was a member of the Stampeders' 106th Grey Cup championship squad in 2018. So best of luck to him wherever he ends up.
Gabriel Dulo in Tennis Canada stories.
Yeah, Gabriel Diallo lost his opening match at the Delray Beach Open. Australian Adam Walton was the one who beat him out in straight sets, 7-6, 6-3. The 2 stayed on serve in the first set, thus establishing the tiebreaker. Walton surged to a 5-2 advantage before eventually earning the final 2 points on serve. Walton finished with 5 aces, 1 more than Diallo, who he had 4. He also had no double faults, while Diallo had 1. Diallo also finished 0 for 1 in break opportunities. So that's his tournament, unfortunately, done.
Yeah, good. Well, it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Fernandez in Dubai.
She was Leylah Fernandez was unfortunately eliminated in the round of 32 at the Dubai Tennis Championships on Monday. She fell 7-6, 6-4 to Janice Jen of Indonesia. She fired 6 aces, but also had 6 double faults and just won 39% of her second serve points. Chen converted 4 of 9 break point chances to secure the straight set victory, so that's one in the books for her. Fernandez, unseeded at the WTA 1000 event, is ranked 29th in the world after dropping 2 spots last week. Chen was rated number 46. Victoria Mboko pulled out of the Dubai event on Monday, citing a right elbow injury. The 19-year-old entered the week ranked in the top 10 after finishing runner-up in Doha. She's the 7th player to exit the tournament, which has also lost world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka and number 2 Iga Swiatek. So I'm not sure what it is about the Dubai Tennis Championships, but competitors don't seem to be having a lot of luck there.
Ajay Alessim.
Right. He's off to the finals. He defeated Kazakhstan's Alexander Bublik 6-1, 6-2 to move on to the Rotterdam Open final. He had 7 aces and 3 double faults. Oj Aliassime came in as the tournament's 2nd seed and won an astounding 96% of first serve points. The 3rd seed Bublik had 4 aces to 1 double fault and went without a break point chance. However, he only won 53% of his first serve points. Oj Aliassime has won this tournament before. The last time he won was in 2022 and enters this week's event off a title win at the Open Occitanie last Sunday. He's going to face top-seeded Alex de Minaur of Australia on Sunday, and he's currently sitting at 7th place in the world rankings.
That's fantastic, Aaron. That takes care of tennis. Let's go to hockey, and let's go to the National Hockey League's Canadian teams, and we'll start with the Habs.
So while the 3 of their teammates were on the Olympic tournament's quarterfinals, the Habs were on the ice in Brossard for practice. And unlike on Tuesday, everybody was present and accounted for except for Olympians. Line A, who was missing the day before because of a lower body or injury, was back and wearing a regular jersey. Speaking after the practice, Caden Gooley told the media that he was hoping for a fresh start post-break, and he wasn't going to think too much about the games he played so far this season because it's been rather unremarkable. The blue liner is hoping to build on his performance from the last game against Winnipeg and get back to his regular style of play. Jaden Struble also participated, and Alexandre Carrier explained that teams have a different approach now when they take on the Canadians. They're not a surprise anymore. They're going to enjoy a day off today before returning to Brossard on Friday morning. While Suzuki, Slafkovsky, and Kapanen are all still contending for medals. So that's that. That's at least Line A's back on the ice. That's a start.
Absolutely important for the Canadians. Triggerman in their power play. Let's go with the Sens. What's going on there?
Well, when Denmark lost 6-3 to the United States in preliminary round play on Saturday, Mads Søgaard wasn't around for the finish. The Danes were still in it, trailing 5-3 with 9 minutes to play, but Søgaard had to leave with a lower body injury. He departed after making 33 saves on 38 shots and was replaced by Fredrik Dichow. With Denmark playing on back-to-back days, the plan had been to save starter Freddie Anderson for a more winnable game against Latvia the following day. Now, Søgaard's injury, one of those things that sucks for the Sens. Their Sens fans are continuing to hope that the second-round pick from 2019 can emerge as a bona fide NHL prospect in Ottawa. He'll need to stay healthy, though, and that seems to have been a problem. Now, he's one of the tallest goalies to ever play in the NHL. He's 6'7". He shares that distinction with Ben Bishop, Ivan Fedotov, and Mikko Koskinen, who are also 6'7". The problem that we have here is because he's so tall, there's a greater risk of lower body injuries when dropping into the butterfly or stretching for a skate save. So, he spent a lot of time on the injury list, but when he left the game, he didn't dress for Sunday's prelim finals, which prompted a little more concern. But the bad was that he ended up out of the tournament because of the 3-2 loss to Czechia. The good, he's healthy enough to serve as Anderson's backup, which is a very encouraging sign. So we'll see how things go for him once he gets back to with the Sens.
Exactly. Then you talk about their blue line. What about their blue line there, Aaron?
Well, there's only 11 shopping days left until March 6th once they get back off the Olympic break. So that's something that teams are genuinely concerned about. The roster freeze is lifting at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. That's following the gold medal game earlier that day in Milan. Steve Staios, the president of Hockey Ops and general manager, is going to have some decisions to make. As it currently stands, the Senators have shown an interest in Calgary defenseman Mackenzie Weegar. That would help stabilize their team's top four. He's got a cap hit of $6.25 million through the 2030-31 campaign, though. So he would stabilize the right side of the club's top four, and he'd be under control for the next 5 years. Now, the Flames are looking at top return for him. A comparable return for Weegar would be Brandon Carlo, maybe Dougie Hamilton, or Connor Murphy of the Chicago Blackhawks. Colton Parayko is another player that's potentially available in a trade for Mackenzie Weegar. So a lot of options on the table right now.
Absolutely. Let's go to the Jets.
So the Jets are making a lot of moves here after a bit of a slide heading into the break. Several key players are still away or sidelined. They're currently without Hellebuck, Kyle Connor, and Josh Morrissey. The Jets have recalled Dominic DiVincentis, Ville Heinola, and Elias Salmonson, and forward Walker Dewar from the Manitoba Moose of the American Hockey League. This is mainly to get in practice reps and to make sure that they've got the full complement here. But the issue that they're going to be facing is the fact that Josh Morrissey is still on the disabled list, and it doesn't appear to be ready to go. He's been sitting on the sidelines for Canada for the past few games. So they need to make some roster moves at this point just to try to firm stuff up.
Talk to me about the Flames.
Well, for the first time in almost a month and a half, Blake Coleman is back practicing without a non-contact jersey. So that's a good thing. Apparently, he's going to be ready to go when the Flames play their first game after the Olympic break against the Sharks on February 26th. He's been persistently included in trade rumors ever since the Flames had a rather disastrous start to the season. It's more likely than not he'll be moved at the deadline. But as per Coleman, the dialogue's been pretty open and clear. From day one, I'm a Flame until I'm told I'm not, and he's going to try to bring his best every day to be there.
Tell me about the Oilers and Paul Coffey.
So guess who's back?
Paul
again. Yeah. They brought him back in as the defensive coach.
He's coming back for another cup of coffee?
Yeah.
That was a big cup of coffee he had last time. Big cup of coffee he had last time.
But with 24 games left in the season, is he really going to be able to get a lot done? I mean, is this going to be a full tilt espresso, or is it going to be more of a mild mocha when it comes to this sort of thing? And the other question is Knobloch now on the block? Because coffee's back.
One thing we do know, it's iced coffee.
Ice cold, sir. That is bad.
Hey, come on. Let's fit the situation.
As it currently stands, here's the interesting thing. The Oilers have actually been about a half a goal better per game with Coffey as one of their coaches. So, it's a tough decision.
He's not there to help them today. He's there to help them when they get to when and if they get to the playoffs. There, honestly, in the Gretzky era, in that whole Gretzky era, was there Potvin? What other defenseman? Okay, there were a couple in Montreal. That guy was an offensive threat whenever he was on the ice as a defenseman. I like the way he skated too. It was funny looking. I don't know how he got down the ice so fast the way he skated.
Don't forget Craig Muni.
He was great. And he's a great intellectual mind for them because of his Stanley Cup championships. The guy knows how to win. And a lot of times, this is where I feel all things are equal. Whether you're a player, a coach, a manager, an owner, or a fan. If you follow the game closely enough, right, from whatever bird's eye perch you're watching from, you can get to see what a champ looks like. And by a champ, I mean not just the individual players, I mean the team as well. And I think that's an important experience that there is no other way to get it other than to be a champion. And I just don't see Coffey not being a very positive move for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm actually, it's good what they've done.
As one of Edmonton's more offensive defensemen, yeah, it's 100% a great idea to bring him in. He can teach the players.
Aaron just doesn't like old guys. Aaron doesn't like old guys.
I don't like the same 30-odd dudes getting the same opportunities over and over and over again when there's the potential to bring in new blood.
He wasn't in there. He's coming in there. So, he's there. They've called him back because they feel what he contributed before helped them, and they'd like a new version of that. But anyway, let's go to the Canucks. Are a team in flux, and all one has to do is look at the roster, look what it looked like before, take note of the players that have been brought in and the players it took to leave to bring them in. And this is a team that needs to figure out when they're close to where they want to be. They still just look like a team in flux.
They really do. And, I think it's fantastic that they've got a whole bunch of players that are getting some really valuable Olympic experience right now. In particular, Elias Pettersson, Lucas Reichel, Philip Hronek, and David Kampf. Unfortunately, all of those players have now been eliminated from the Olympics. So there's a little less experiencing going on and a little more disappointment going on. But Slovakia is officially off to the semis, which means Reichel was eliminated during that game. Despite a decent effort from Germany, Slovakia had a strong tournament to the point where they landed themselves an automatic quarterfinal spot. For Reichel, that 6-2 loss to Slovakia was a strong one offensively. He scored Germany's first goal of the game. Unfortunately, by that point, Slovakia already had 4. Reichel also registered an assist on Germany's second goal and recorded 3 shots and put up a team-high 1954 in minutes played. Czechia was, again, inches away from causing the biggest upset in the tournament. They took multiple leads during their game against Canada, but were ultimately unable to beat them. Despite not having the strongest preliminary round, Czechia stepped things up. Hronek had consistently been Czechia's busiest player, and in that game against Canada, that was no different. He logged over half a game's worth of ice time while assisting on a goal that gave Czechia their first lead. Not only did he, his chest legs averaged to nearly a minute long, he also played a total of 32 of them. So, and in his time with Czechia, Kampf also stepped things up and proved we can still accomplish with proper deployment. He finished the game against Canada with 19:59 in ice time, with only David Pastrnak and Marty Necas logging more minutes for Czechia's forwards. He was also part of a Czech penalty kill that killed 2 of 3 Canadian power plays. In the third one, you're looking at Finland that ended up advancing over Switzerland 3-2 in overtime. It looked as though Switzerland would advance to the next round, though some late heroics from Sebastian Aho, Miro Heiskanen, and Arturi Lekkonen ended up making the difference for Finland.
Absolutely.
So, end of the day, you know what? A good showing for Vancouver's players at the Olympics. Not necessarily the results they wanted, but valuable experience that they can bring back to the team.
Absolutely. Aaron, final word?
You know what? We're having another hockey showdown. It will more than likely be Canada versus USA on Sunday.
Oh, I wish you hadn't have said that. Knock on wood.
I need my boys to face some adversity.
Knock on wood. Yeah, here's to some good hockey coming up. Again, good for the Canadian women who won a silver medal. We wanted more. We expected less. We got what really was expected, but they made a game of it, and they did a great job. I'm really proud of what the women did, the women's hockey team. And keep going, all the silver, gold, and bronze that Canadian athletes are getting. The whole reason why this show exists is because of that. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. Aaron, as usual, thank you for being the straw that stirs the drink, and we'll see you next time. He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanishi. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again.